Hi, this is Susan Clark, and I'm starting the fourth episode of Let's Talk Politics. Politics. And this week I'll be doing the first of a, hopefully not the last, webinar called Dialoguing for Democracy. Join the conversation. That's going to happen on Wednesday, and I will try to add some info about that, or you can go to Thrive Inc. to learn more about that. But my idea behind this is that I really do believe people don't know how to dialogue. And I think it's really important that we get better at it. And the whole idea behind dialogue is it is a space where people a free flow of meaning is one way to think about it. And that free flow of meaning means that everyone's point of view is legitimate and valuable and important, and when you make the space for that, you actually increase the IQ of the team, the family, whoever it is, the country. When we don't do that, when we aren't able to have that free flow of meaning, we end up being restricted, and the loudest or the wealthiest or the most important people get their point across, but nobody else gets to speak. And the challenge in democracy is that in our democracy here, is that we are a really big country and we are very diverse. And, if I go and talk to somebody on the East Coast or on the West Coast or in the city or in the country or in a rural, I'm going to get different answers to a simple question like, what do you want from your government? And it's going to be very different depending on where you and who you are talking to. And yet, those conversations need to keep happening. And instead, what can happen is we can get politicians, people trying to get a vote, sort of just telling you, hey, your vote doesn't matter because this group doesn't really care about you. But how do you know that? If you actually aren't having a conversation, how do you even know the person who's redirecting you is giving you good information? You don't. And so really it comes down to how well can you dialogue and diverse and converse with people who have very different perspectives than you do. And I think that starts not maybe it starts on a national level. As a matter of fact, I think right now the Democratic convention is going on, and hopefully there's some good dialogue going on there. And people are having conversations about their differences and what to do. And yes, that can for sure seem chaotic at times. That's actually one of the reasons I wanted to do this webinar about dialoguing for democracy, to help people learn how to have a better chance at hanging in for those types of conversations, because it's not easy when you think the person who's talking to you is threatening your lifestyle, your values, your beliefs. And yet, that may not be what they're intending to do, but that can so easily happen when we come from such diverse backgrounds and differences, and we don't know how to hang in to make space for something new. And I say that because I was reading recently a great book called, let me see if I can find the name of it. It was written by a guy named David McRamey, and I think it was all about handling change. And what he said that was really striking to me is that people are way more afraid of social death in many ways than they are of literal death. Meaning, when someone feels like they belong somewhere, they're in a group, that belonging quality, and they're part of a party, it is more threatening to them to be ostracized from that party than it is to die. So if you think about that, when we challenge people, which is usually what we do when we have differences, and we start making them feel like where they belong isn't okay, or it's not okay to be in this party or that party, or vote for this person or that party, we are actually challenging their social structure and stability. And that is not going to be very effective. It's really just going to create a lot of defensiveness unless we can find a way to help each person recognize that there's an alternative to just being a part of one group. Sometimes that's as simple as having a shared mutual purpose. Like if instead of having a conversation about politics to decide to coerce people into voting the way you do, if instead the conversation was more about how do we each define politics? What's important to us? What do we want our government to do? To talk about some of those issues that are broader. If we're all citizens of this country, what does it mean to us to be a citizen? Those types of conversation might start to support people hanging in a little bit more because the underlying belief is we all are a part of this country and nation. And people can have a little more room to be different. But as soon as we divide it into parties, we've started to create those very distinct groups, and it's hard to have the same dialogue. So, anyway, this has become something I'm very passionate about. I mean, I think our founding fathers had the right idea when they created, three stools, three different branches of the government, with the idea that no one branch, no one group of people, no one person could possibly have enough dialogue, reason, conversation to decide the direction of our country. Now, they knew that way back then that this was going to be problematic. Now we've got even more issues. And if we don't learn how to dialogue, we're not going to really know how to change the things from the past that we might want to change and move into the future somewhat aligned around the key issues. When we work with a business, we often say to them, answer the question, why do you exist? Well, maybe that's something we need to ask around the table around politics. Why does our government exist? And what are our expectations of it? And see if we have shared expectations. That's all for today. Hopefully, you'll be joining me on Wednesday for the first Dialoguing for Democracy. Thank you. Bye.